Okay, we're talking about guaranteed income during retirement. Seems to be a hot topic lately after making a couple of videos about my modest retirement income. So I want to talk about ways that you can get to a modest retirement guaranteed monthly income without having to have millions of dollars in the bank, okay? There are ways to do that. One of the first ones I want to talk about is an annuity. I did some research and found, and you can find this information through Fidelity's websites. You can find some info on it for NerdWallet. I also found some information from Charles Schwab. So whatever major investor or 401k provider you're using or looking at, they all sell annuities. And then there, of course, there's financial planners out there that have access to annuities that are guaranteed as well. What's great about an annuity is that you can get a guaranteed income monthly. And there's many different options for how you take that money, mostly based on how long you want it to be guaranteed, and then if you want it to have a death benefit when it's over. But let's just go with the $300,000, and you're going to be basically, you can get that income for you and your spouse for life if you take that option, and that would be $2,000 a month, and that's far and away more than the standard rule, which was you needed $240,000 for every $1,000 a month in retirement income. And based on that information, I just doubled my monthly return with only a $60,000 more investment. And every $1,000 makes a big difference, right? So if I can get $2,000 a month with almost the same income investment to start with, that's a no-brainer to me. I'm not saying everybody should do it. It may, just something you should look at and see if it's good for you. Now, if you've saved more than that and you want, worry-free investment that will guarantee monthly income, if you have $500,000 and you did an annuity, based on the research I found, you could get $3,300 a month out of that. And then add that to your Social Security, you're going to be in pretty good shape. The key for any of this, really, is that you need to know your numbers. You need to know what your budget is going to be right now based on the lifestyle you want to have. What's it going to cost you every month? Your minimum essentials, right? And then you need to know what your actual income is going to be and see if they mesh. And then you can tweak either way based on those levels on what you really want. If you want to, you can partition out your 401k and do a $300,000 investment in an annuity to increase your guarantee and keep whatever's left in there to withdraw from for emergencies or trips or special things. But the key to making any of it work is knowing what those income levels need to be every month to cover your budget, and then to adjust your budget to meet the income level. It's harder to add income when you're going into retirement because you're not going to be working unless you have to. And maybe that means you need to work a little bit longer first, or maybe find part-time work to supplement. But that's one way to get that started. And what we all want is knowing what that income is going to be every month. And with an annuity, you're locked in with the rate. You're locked in on what the monthly return is going to be. Now, I would hope right now they're saying that the average 65-year-old's got $272,000 in their 401k. That's really not too bad to work with. And if you can get to 300, here's an easy solution to that. Now, the median is only 88,000. Let's hope that we're not part of the median and we're all a little bit above average and up in that higher number. But they say by the time you're 65, you should have 10 times your salary saved. That would be great for anybody, right? But if you're in a lower income rate at 65 or 50,000 or $65,000 a year, it's a lot harder to get to where you have 650,000 in your 401k. Otherwise, this average of 272 would be a whole lot higher, right? We'd all be up there higher than that to begin with. So I think, of course, the earlier you start, the better you're going to be, and you're going to have more years of compounding, which is what we all need. But there's different ways to make this money more guaranteed, right? And I found, some of the research I have found is that if you stick somewhere around that 6% withdrawal rate every year, that's kind of seems to be the sweet spot for making the money that you have last pretty much the lifetime. I say pretty much because there's always things that can change, but that's based on if you take 6% and you average 6%, you're always going to be at even money every year. Nothing really depletes. It doesn't really change. When I ran that number on $400,000, taking a 6% return, After 20 years, there was still $357,000 in that account. And that's taking $25,000 a year out at 6%. So, couple that with your Social Security return, you're a pretty good income level, and your money kind of lasts forever, right? And then if you want to take 10 grand out to take a special trip, you still got, after 20 years, $347,000 to work with. But the problem is you got to get to that $400,000 first to make it last. Okay, so that's kind of the way I've used my mom as an example before. She does not have a large investment strategy, and what she does is she takes the minimum withdrawal that she has to take from her 401k every year. For her, she takes 4%. She gets it split into 2 payments, and basically what happens is her investment is still making around 6 or 8%. So her money never really goes away, and she still gets her extra money every year. But she does that and gets lump sums twice, and then between her Social Security and her small pension, she still hangs in that $3,000 a month situation, and yet she still gets a couple of big chunks every year to help her with taxes and etc., and put money aside for any repairs that may come up on her home. Plus she gets income tax returns still. So this money can work. You just got to find out what's your number and what's that sweet spot for you. All right, I'm going to let you go. That's all I got today. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.